Hey guys, how's it going? Zombie here with ZNR Gaming. Today we're looking at the Xbox One Elite controller, guys, the version 1, and I'll explain why I said that in a moment. But I want to go and give a year and a third review about the controller itself. I've been using it for a year and 4 months now, and I just wanted to talk about my thoughts on the controller, if I would buy another one, and then basically if I'm happy with what I did get my hands on. Now, for a quick, brief discussion of why I said version 1, this is the only version available for the Xbox One Elite controller. But back in January, there was a leak online. I believe it was somewhere, I can't remember the exact country, where there was a online store that had a Elite controller version 2 released on their website prematurely. And it quickly disappeared, and basically all the information about it disappeared, and no one's talked about it in a few months. But a lot of people like myself were really looking forward to this controller being announced at E3 this year, which was just a few days ago, of course, for the Xbox console. And it was very disappointing to me that they did not announce it, and that me and many others have speculated whether it really did exist. If so, what are they waiting for? Did they not release it because it was leaked? Are they not releasing it yet because they're waiting for another showcase and they already had this one packed? I do not believe that's the initial reason. I believe they could have easily fit in another 5 minutes talking about the version 2 if that is the case. Or maybe it was premature, but it sounded like they had a finished product. But with that out of the way, guys, let's get to what you're here for, the review on the actual Xbox One Elite controller that they do have out. First of all, I want to say that I've not used this as much as many other people. I've not had a lot of gaming time over the last year compared to normal, but I do want to say that I am really enjoying this controller. It's real heavy is one comment I made about it whenever I originally unboxed it. It's real heavy compared to most controllers. I do like that. I like the kind of heavier feel. It's more sturdy. I do love the paddles. The paddles themselves are very hard to get used to. You have to train yourself to get used to them. If you ever set your controller down your leg, you will hit them, you will throw grenades, you will melee, you will send your allies to attack, whatever they're set to. Now, for these 4 paddles, it's very easy to use them. You will find yourself using them quite often. I'm not the best player when it comes to most games, and Titanfall is no exception to that. But Titanfall 2, I was really able to use this controller and increase my abilities fairly well. If for a lot of people there who can't bunny hop like myself, it allowed me to bunny hop very easily. Not only that, it allowed me to bunny hop or run, jump off of buildings, aim and shoot without having to actually take my thumbs off of the joysticks or my fingers away from the triggers. It helped me stay on target a lot better because of that. It helped me get a lot of quick shots and gave me a real advantage over a lot of people who did not have the controller. Another thing is the durability of the controller itself. One thing I will say I am disappointed in is the fact that the biggest point for this was, for me, I've had 2 or 3 controllers go bad on me since the Xbox One came out for the day one, and I've traded in those controllers. I've bought new ones and other stuff. And this one was designed to not for stick wear, no stick drift. It was supposed to last a whole lot longer, if ever. And again, after 1 year of using this controller, I started to see stick drift in the left analog stick, which for movement. Now, this is a very common problem. This is normally the first thing to go bad in any controller, and normally why people have to buy them and why I bought this one. Now, a couple things about that real quick. Now, it did, of course, have stick drift, and that happened literally 2 days before I was going to originally make this video back in February. But I wanted to wait and see how bad the stick drift got. And I will say that the stick drift happens on occasion, and for some games that's not a big deal. But when you're playing things like PUBG and you have to sneak around a lot better, or you're waiting for an enemy that you can hear around you and all of a sudden your guy starts to move, that's really, really annoying. So what I've looked online, I actually bought this controller from a third party besides Microsoft because it was $25 off. So I paid $125 instead of the $150 US. for the controller, and I found out recently that I'm not sure the exact time limit. It didn't give one, but people have actually turned in the Xbox One Elite controller to Microsoft. They've contacted them, said, "Hey, I've got stick drift. It's affected my controller. Microsoft will send controllers out to these people, have them send their old ones in, and there you go." But unfortunately, I bought mine through a third party, not knowing this, and my warranty went out within a couple weeks, and which was really disappointing to hear. I'm still going to use that company to buy things like cables and other stuff, electronics, but I would never buy this controller from anyone but Microsoft again. Now, I know I'm going off on a rant, and I do apologize about that. I will get back to the controller. When you get this controller, you will see that it has a 1 and 2 switch on the front. This will allow you to set presets for certain games, and allow you to set presets for certain games, different games, the same game for different reasons, and this has been real useful as well. I know when I play Battlefield 1, going from running around uninverted to the planes being inverted is really confusing to me at times, because I do not fly that often, and having the presets from 1 for on the ground and 2 for flying, really it's just a quick switch of my thumb as I'm loading in, and that's it. It helps out a lot. Now that also helps for things when you go between games. For a while I had Ghost Recon Wildlands and Titanfall 2. I played those two a lot, and I could very easily switch between the two, so I can adjust the back paddles as they were. A lot of people don't actually mess with the regular buttons or the other ones. I've done that a couple times to make two games play exactly the same or very similar when it came to the button layouts. But normally, primarily, I deal with the back paddles. Again, those are really annoying to get used to, but once you get used to them, you will find them extremely helpful for most situations. Normally they get used for, I've seen a lot of first-person shooters, maybe some other fast-paced games. I know I play things like Far Cry. I don't use them at all. I normally just turn them off, which is a double tap of the green button on top of the controller. You also have 3 magnetic swaps for your controllers. You have the classic directional up, down, left, right button is replaced with the round octagon button. It looks very similar. I've always just used the basic directional one. I've not switched or tried the other one. Also, you have the joysticks. You have 2 different types that you can replace with. You have the standard ones. You have ones that are like the standard ones, the thumb grip wise, but they are a little bit taller. And the third one is the one that a lot of people have said are like the PlayStation. They're the same height as the basic ones, but they have more of a dome shape instead of a concave. But all in all, guys, I know I've just talked about basic stuff about this, but I am happy with this controller. I've dropped it. I've tried to be careful, but I've dropped it. I've had a couple buttons on the top seemed like they were going to pop out and not work anymore, but I barely applied pressure. They went right back into place. It never seemed to affect their actual quality. This controller has been real good. I do not have anything bad to say about it necessarily, besides the fact that it does still have that stick drift within the first year of occasional playing. But all you have to do is just contact Microsoft if you buy it from them, and they'll swap it out for you. One more thing I forgot to mention, on the back of the controller there are 2 green switches, which are also used for hair triggers. They reduce the travel time of the actual triggers themselves for the left and right triggers. Now, I found myself not doing this much for the left trigger, but quite often for the right trigger when I was doing things like Titanfall or Battlefield. Any single shot, very quick, repeatable fire rate rifles. Any fast rate rifles that were single shot, I found this was a very good thing to do. Pistols a lot as well. If they had the rate of fire, I can that could keep up with me pushing this trigger, just throwing the hair triggers, and it would make it really quick and really good for those real close encounters. But that's it, guys. I know I've kind of stumbled through this one. I will probably, if they do not announce a version 2, I'll probably stick with this one until it dies, and or the stick drift just gets way too out of hand. So I'll actually probably do another review on year 2 back in February, or when February comes around again, if I'm still using this controller. If you have any comments, please leave them in the description below. I take any constructive criticism. I do apologize again for stumbling through. This was not scripted at all. I just kind of looked at a controller and just talked about it as I was looking at it. So thanks, guys. Please subscribe, like the video if you did like it, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.